Hello and thank you for joining the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the Hangout, federal government appeals Saraki's acquittal. Dangote, Nigerian Port Authority, flour mills, others to rebuild Apapa Wharf Road. And later on the program, federal government clears the air on the alleged delisting of Christian Islamic subjects from school curriculum. Babajide Kolade Otitoju is back. Moji Jamiu and Yomi Olomofe, they're all lined up for today's program. So if you're ready, let the Hangout start now. It seems no one is angrier than the Senate President Bukola Saraki had been discharged and acquitted of the 18-count charge of false asset declaration and related offenses than the federal government of Nigeria. After suffering a shocking defeat last Wednesday, the government has appealed the judgment. On Tuesday, it filed 11 grounds of appeal at the Court of Appeal, Abuja, seeking an order to set aside the CCT ruling. It condemned the judgment in strong terms, describing it as unconstitutional, unwarranted, and unreasonable judicial rascality, impertinence, and against the weight of evidence. It said the CCT erred in law by upholding Saraki's no-case submission when the onus of proof was on Saraki to show that there was no infraction in the Code of Conduct forms. Apart from seeking to set aside the ruling, the federal government also wants an order calling upon Saraki to enter his defense. What is really going on? Gentlemen, last week it came like, you know, celebration everywhere in the National Assembly and the camp of the Senate President Saraki, and the federal government has decided to appeal this particular case. What is really fishing?
Yeah, I was expecting them to appeal because just as you said, the judgment came as a shock to me and to many Nigerians. I've learned over the years to not believe everything the judiciary throws at us, because this same judiciary adjudged James Onanefe Ibori as having been as clean as a whistle. But the same grounds upon which the case against him in Nigeria was instituted were the grounds upon which the case against him in the UK was instituted. And the man that we set free here by the infamous judge Awokuleye, Marcel Awokuleye, the British judiciary eventually jailed. In fact, it was so easy for them to arrive at judgment. And they not only jailed Ibori, they jailed his mistress, they jailed his wife, they jailed his lawyer. Everyone connected to that case, they jailed. They successfully proved the case and jailed. In our own case, we will bring 100 million count charge, and we won't still be able to secure conviction.
You forgot to add that they actually pleaded guilty in UK.
That's why I said it was a lot easier. I just didn't want to go into details, you know. But I've reinforced the point that this man, that Ibori was really guilty by actually saying that his lawyer, who helped him to launder money, his wife, his mistress, they were all jailed. So they not only found Ibori culpable, they found his associates culpable, yet Ibori alone, we couldn't find culpable here in our country. So it says a lot about our judicial system. And the point I've been telling myself is, well, if Buki was set free here, why should it really shock me? Was Ibori not set free in our country? I'm sure that if that trial were to be handled by maybe Ghanaian judges, for example, the outcome would be different. Because as Roger Jacobs and others are saying, the CCT wrongly applies the presumption of innocence, the idea of the presumption of innocence. And they are also saying that, look, it was not within the powers of the CCT to discharge and acquit. You can discharge, but you do not have the power to acquit. But it went ahead to discharge and acquit. So it has left so many questions unanswered. And when I saw some of the authorities cited by the appellants in asking that this case be, in asking that the no case of submission be set aside, and that Saraki should be made to enter his defense so that the trial can continue. I saw a particular portion of the law that they cited. They said, if the submission is based on discredited evidence, such discredited evidence must be apparent on the face of the record. And if not apparent, then the submission is bound to fail. Instead, they cited the Supreme Court judgment in Dabo versus the Nigerian state in 1977. So they laid the basis, yes, for this appeal. One can only hope that in the end that justice will be served. I don't want to believe in this nonsense of Ogbologbo lawyer, this and that, and the funny theory that Obasanjo has been trying his best to promote. Justice must be seen to be served. Justice has no other name. Justice for the poor is not different from justice for the rich. It should not be different. So in our country, this is what should guide us. This is what should guide us.
Majid, when you look at the case was so political from the beginning, and the undercurrent and those things going around, and by the time they kept on and on, at a point in time they went to the Supreme Court, you know, to go and seek the interpretation for the 2015 Administration of Criminal Justice, and all attempt to stall that trial, but eventually we got that judgment. What was the ground current?
Yeah, it's only in Nigeria that the courts we answer prayers that were not asked for. Yeah, in the case of Fauci versus Fayemi at the Supreme Court, there was no mention of impeachment or no impeachment, but the Supreme Court went ahead to quash Fauci's impeachment of 2006, and that now Fauci is back to the same court to seek an extension of his tenure. I mean, it can only happen in Nigeria. And now, for a CCT that has no powers of acquittal, your power ends at only discharge. Or you went ahead, probably, I mean, it was, I don't know how to put it, but the guy went overboard. And this is a guy that was, people had a lot of hopes on, yes, but he came crashing when, I mean, at
the time he was needed the most.
At the time he was needed most. So it's not a surprise, but then it calls to question again the status of our judiciary in the fight against corruption. It's unfortunate that we have an ailing president. I mean, and from my findings, the presidency is as embarrassed as Nigerians from what happened, and that's why they are going there to they are going to the appellate court to challenge the decision of the CCT, because
some Nigerians were thinking that maybe the presidency
whether
had
it was
back down so that they are going to have a smooth relationship.
The presidency, from our findings, had no hands in. It was basically Saraki and some other undercurrents. I mean that achieved whatever they achieved. But I want to believe that with what the federal government has done, and also this calls to question the ability of the Attorney General of the Federation to actually stand his ground. He has more than 1,000 lawyers in the ministry, so he should get very good counsel to file a very tight defense for the appeal. I mean, if it is well articulated, I believe the judgment should be served at the right time. Although there are some elements of politicking in the whole issue. But one thing is very clear. I doubt if the presidency is involved in any trade-off. I mean, on the CCT ruling on Saraki.
Otuma, a lot of Nigerians expressed dissatisfaction after this judgment, and some were even, doubting the sincerity of the federal government in its fight against corruption.
Yes.
With this appeal, what is the implication?
Well, the appeal will only serve to somewhat reassure Nigerians that this government actually means to do something about corruption in our land. That decision by the Code of Conduct Tribunal, as have been said, is not only absurd, it is like attempting to call the bluff of every Nigerian. The blanket dismissal on the very, very indolent argument of a no-case submission without substantiating, convincingly why there is no case submission. It just goes to tell that we are still so much in the thick of the belief that there is nothing money cannot swing, that there is nothing paddy kind of camaraderie cannot swing, that there is nothing that people who seem to have unconscionably looted, amassed, and are doing their level best to hold tenaciously onto these loots cannot attempt to do with these loots at their disposal. Talks have been everywhere about concerning how much went under the table, yet to be substantiated, of course, yes. But I'm of the school of thought that there really can't be any smoke without some fire somewhere. So by the appeal, what the government of the day has done is to reassure every one of us in this country who believe that there is yet hope for sanity, who believe that there is yet hope for the appropriate punitive measures to be meted out to culprits upon, being found wanting going forward. I believe that it is a right step by the federal government, and the accused, in the person of the Senate President, should stand on that status and must indeed sincerely make efforts to put in his defense at the level of the Court of Appeal.
Mm-hmm. Jude, we're looking at the implication of the attack on the Attorney General by Professor Itesage. Professor Itesage is the chairman of the anti-corruption, Presidential Anti-Corruption Committee, and after this judgment, he was very upset at the outcome of the trial.
Yes, no doubt about it. There is some frustration, with the way things are going. I've also had Obla, the presidential assistant, also demonstrating so much anger. You see, when Sage made that statement, at the time he made that statement, no effort had been made to appeal. And this judgment was handed down on June 14, So I'm sure that he did that to nudge the Attorney General to take action quickly, because some funny online media outlets actually carried the story that the Attorney General said there will be no appeal, that since there was no appeal in the case of Tinubu, there will be no appeal in this case. But these cases before the CCT were quite different. The matters before the tribunal in the case of Tinubu and in the case of Buki were quite different. So to start placing them side by side and come and accusing the Attorney General of a willingness, a willingness to not appeal was wrong on the part of the online media outlet. But of course, we have so many of them now. Some restless youths just sit before the computer, they turn themselves to emergency journalists, and they put out all sorts of irresponsible stuff on the internet. And we have a very believable and gullible population. Well, you read something on the net, you do not bother to filter, you go out there, and you will start externalizing it. Even journalists. Journalists will pick something up from an irresponsible media outlet and then be externalizing it in a manner that questions their training. So that is the problem that we have. And I personally, when I saw that story, I said, okay, time will resolve this, because it's time that actually resolves things in Nigeria. I've learned not to believe everything that I see and wait a little bit for time to resolve some of these riddles. So now, after Sage attacked the Attorney General, you can see some movement along this direction. Now, we've seen clearly now that there will be an appeal. You just must appeal. You just must appeal, because chances are that you will win the appeal. I do not believe that there was no evidence to nail Bukky. I do not believe. I do not believe.
And you don't believe that the case was bungled?
Well,
by the prosecutors?
I've over time, in the recent past, I've learned not to trust the EFCC. Because there are things, and I'm happy that on the day that we talked about the glaring incompetence of the EFCC in prosecuting cases, even one of his lawyers came out here to admit that yes, some cases may not have been properly prosecuted. Because just like the former CJN said, Muhammad, the immediate past CJN, he said prosecution is like a building. The foundation determines whether the building will stand. So if we do not do diligent prosecution, look at the judgment that just came out now that they cannot, the ruling that just came out that look, you cannot freeze Fayoshe's account. Yeah. So naturally, they should have known that somebody who has immunity, it is futile to try to bring up any form of litigation against him when he still has immunity. So the EFCC must put its ass together. It must prosecute cases in the right way. Because if it doesn't do that, and it maintains this losing spree, the confidence of Nigeria in the anti-corruption war will win. That's the implication.
I have Inni from Ikorodu.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Ayo.
Is it Inni Olua or Inni?
Timi.
Okay.
Timi Olua Timi.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. God bless you. Uncle Jide, God bless you all there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are doing a very good job, and we are enjoying you people.
Thanks.
But this case of Saraki, I will want the presidency to be very, very careful, knowing fully that this is a time that Nigeria needs a lot of concentration. I wouldn't want anything that will destroy the attention of the presidency now. Saraki or no Saraki, asset or no asset, we all knew what led to all these accusations and all these things. If it has not been the emergence of Saraki, I don't think anybody would have been saying all this. If there has been that the person we want there has been there, nobody will ever see Saraki as being declared asset or not. So I want the president to focus on Nigeria more than Saraki. Thank you.
All right, MJ, because the relationship between the executive and
the same way that they are saying we should leave Evans
alone, that he didn't kill anybody, that he has pleaded guilty. I mean, you see, that's the funny thing about the way Nigerians see issues. Are we saying now that we should always politicize everything when some things are not clear? I mean, they are not just okay. We should just leave it because some feathers will be ruffled. No, we can't be.
It's not done like that in other lands.
We can't be doing things like that. We can't be doing things based on sentiment.
See, Israelis jailing their former prime minister.
Former prime minister. I mean, we have seen this happen several times. Zuma, as a serving president, is being chastised every day. In South Africa. It's being called to question. I mean, that has not distracted him from governance. I mean, as a leader, you must come to equity with clean hands.
Yes.
If you don't want to be clean,
that's how to set good example.
That is it. You don't go there and aspire to be Senate president if you know you don't want to be called to question, because you're answerable to a lot of Nigerians, and people look up to you. We want a Senate president that will be clean, that I can stand up and say, yes, I have a lot of respect for the leadership of the Senate, for the leadership of the
Senate president without baggage.
Without any baggage. That is the kind of thing we want. It's not about his emergence or what have you. Dogara also emerged in a similar manner, but I mean, even despite the gibbering whistleblowing issue, Dogara has it didn't have that kind of baggage. It didn't have any case at the CCT. So this case will be pursued to the logical conclusion, and I think it's a very good development that the presidency, or rather the federal government, through the Attorney General of the Federation, has gone to the appellate court to challenge the decision of the CCT.
Will it not affect the relationship between the executive and the legislators now, since the National Assembly has like the backing of the Senate, as kind of supporting the Senate president?
If you ask me, I do not see why it should, if we want to be objective here. These things should just be allowed to run a natural course. If at the end of that course, Bukola Saraki is found not to actually have issues or cases to answer, so be it. But to begin to tamper, to begin to whip up incite sentiments that this will lead to that, that will lead to this, I don't think, I will not want us to dwell unduly on whether it will affect. Definitely he too is not going to fold his arms, we know that. Yes. He's going to get up to all manners of antics, all manners of destructive
subterfuge.
And subterfuge to ensure.
They have a way of holding the executive to ransom.
To ensure that the executive is also inconvenienced in some way. Unfortunately, that is the bane of the politics that we do in this part of the world. But for me, this particular instance, you see, you just can't, you cannot attempt to hoodwink everybody every time. If you are not before the law, if you do not have clean hands, you shouldn't go to equity. So I don't think the ongoing, the appeal will or ought affect the relationship.
What can the acting president do in this kind of situation?
Well, I suggested to the acting president a long time ago to do something about the judiciary. I said what he started in Lagos, he should replicate at the federal level. But the acting president responded on a day that we were criticizing him on this station, and we didn't know he was watching us. And he called in to speak with us on Journalist Hangout. To say, you gentlemen, where are you people going on and on, having a go at me? And that day, he affirmed his confidence in the ability of the Attorney General to pursue that course of action. But for me, I know that the Attorney General, I'm not convinced that the Attorney General is against the war against corruption, because he has made some moves that clearly do not support the notion that he's against the war. He's not doing his best in the war against corruption. But in terms of sanitizing the judiciary, this administration has not done much beyond the raid on the premises of those judges. They've not done much. Even the prosecution of those judges is being bungled. For example, where you filed a case against a judge, you are finding it difficult to actually piece some facts together with which you can nail him, and you now amended the charge, or even withdrew your charge, as it has happened with one of those Supreme Court judges. They withdrew the charge and then decided to take him before the CCT. which means they probably did not have enough facts. And I'm convinced that there are so many corrupt old men in that judiciary who deserve to be sent home, not just sent home, but jailed first before they are allowed to go home. You know, they do not deserve to remain. But we are not doing enough, and for as long as we keep those people there, we cannot go far. We will keep getting judges who will be releasing pension thieves.
Do you think
but they will excitedly jail people still go
the stance of the NJC? Do you think we allow the executive to, you know, carry out this kind of reform you're talking about? Because in the last 1 week now, it has been brickbat between the presidency and NJC.
If the executive must be ready, the executive must be ready. To an extent, I support the NJC stance. You can't arrest judges and then be waiting endlessly for evidence which way to prosecute them.
Yeah.
This thing happened about 10 months ago.
Yeah.
Up till now, we've not filed charges against some of those judges. So what are we talking about? You file this charge here, you amend, you file this charge here, you withdraw the charge, you now go before the CCT to say, okay, we are not taking you before the regular court. It is actually a charge of false asset declaration that we want to charge you. We must be much more organized than that. Let's face it. We must be much more organized than that. You can't go before a court, for example, you know, asking for someone's account to be frozen. You know, to be freezed, without telling the court that that individual has immunity. Has immunity. So the court goes ahead to grant you the powers to freeze the account, only for another court to discover that the person that they actually brought before the court had immunity. Of course, that kind of ruling will be set aside. So we have to be much more organized. These corrupt elements that we are dealing with, they are very, very organized. The EFCC, in many ways, they are trying their best. But I still believe that in terms of capacity, something has to be done. Training for even the EFCC operatives. We must step up training. If it's the Americans who will help us, or the Britons, or the Israelis, we must get them to assist us.
Especially because the legal department.
Yeah, it must, because these people will continue to work free if we do not improve the capacity of these people to successfully prosecute cases.
Very important.
We will just be coming here and be lamenting that Buki has been released, that Olisabetu has been released, that one...
They couldn't convict Ibori in Nigeria.
Yeah. So it's a perplexing situation.
Okay, let's take Babalola. Babalola is calling us from Abeokuta.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, Babalola.
Babalola.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution.
Babalola Bola Taiwo from Abeokuta here.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, your discussion is very, very interesting. But one thing I discover in this country is that we don't have an effective and also a potent citizenship. The critical citizenry, we don't have it. Now, you can see that it is only Buhari that is fighting corruption. People surrounding him, Attorney General, all these people, they don't have interest in fighting corruption. And I know with the absence of Buhari now, it seems that all the people are surrounding him who are playing eye service, fighting corruption. They have been compromised. The judiciary, everybody, even these EFCC, I'm suspecting them. With the situation of things in Nigeria now, I think we the people like you now, people like you, who knows what should be done. We should also take our lives, our faith in our hands. We should rise against these people, not violently.
Thank you, Babalola. Thank you, Babalola. I wanted to ask you the implication of this victory for Bukola Saraki.
Well, we said it that day that it was a fiery victory, so it should not jubilate much yet. As we have seen, the appeal will determine a lot of things. But I don't have so much hope in the judiciary because it's all the same. It's the same judiciary that freed, that quashed the CCT ruling on Olubebe can do the same for Saraki. So until we have a very tight, a watertight defense from the Attorney General and the EFCC, because I don't know the competence of the legal department of the EFCC, because they keep losing cases. So until we have a situation where they will have a very watertight defense that could actually give them a judgment in some of these cases.
Yes, my final word is that time has come really and truly for the Nigerian judiciary to let Nigerians know what its position is in the fight against corruption.
All right. After this break, private sector partners with the federal government to rebuild Apapa Wharf Road in Lagos State. How significant is this road? Details after this break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Many kids between the ages of 2 and 5 around Apapa Wharf area of Lagos State had never seen a good expressway before. The road leading to Nigeria's busiest seaport is best described as the road to hell. Residents are tucked between traffic gridlock, deep gullies, and indiscriminate parking of articulated vehicles on the road. For so many years, they had hoped in vain for the federal government to live up to its responsibility. But the truth is that it has successfully failed them. Today, the story is about to change. Last Saturday, the federal government signed a 4.34 billion naira memorandum of understanding (MOU) with the Dangote Group, the Nigerian Ports Authority (NPA), and Flour Mills of Nigeria for construction of the decrepit 2-kilometer Wharf Apapa Road in Lagos. The contractors say the road construction will take 1 year. What do you say about this private sector participation in the provision of infrastructure? Yomi, let me start from you. I go to Apapa and I discovered that most buildings in Apapa now, one common feature you see is that for sale.
Or to let.
Or to let.
Because a lot of the owners, they've abandoned their houses because of access.
Yeah, obviously, because, well, let me start with the public-private partnership thing. I think it's a good one. It's a good step in the right direction. And then I want to quickly also say that the Apapa port, being Nigeria's premier port, and that entire axis has become practically small for the volume of business that is transacted there. What I'm saying here is that it's about time some sort of alternate berthing points are also considered. Yes, are considered. Talks have been ongoing about the Badagry deep sea port. Talks are ongoing about the Lekki axis port and all of it. Okay. It is time now for these other alternate ports to be given accelerated and fast-tracked development efforts and attention.
This rainy season, you can see the road.
If all of the other satellite ports, the Badagry seaport, for instance, if it comes on stream, you will find that naturally there will be, less pressure on the entire space available for port operations in Apapa and then the Tinkan axis. The public-private, the 4.3 billion MOU signed with these private entities, Dangote Group, and the Flour Mills and the Airports Authority, is the right step in the right direction. I have said long before now at other fora that there isn't enough maintenance levy on roads accruing to anybody from the activities going on in our ports. And the only way we can do something meaningful in that direction is to bring in even private participation. Yeah. So that where you put your fund as a private initiative, you are monitoring and tracking it with a view to getting return on investment.
I wanted to ask Majid that this MOU, what does it contain? As in, what's the implication? What is in it for Dangote, Flour Mills, and this?
The good thing for Lagosians and those who are very familiar with Apapa is that after 1 year the road will be fixed. But another thing about it is the fact that it's only a measure of failure of governance. If you realize how much we earn from port activities, I think after petroleum, it is the Nigerian ports. Through customs and so before we now come to petroleum, tax. That is it. After petroleum, it's telcos. Yeah, the telcos, then the ports. So, and you imagine we have that cash cow and we leave it abandoned. See, the private sector participators, the Dangote and Flamings, for example, have been begging the federal government for more than a year. Please let us fix this road, and they refused. The same way, Lagos State government had to hoodwink, use their personal relationship to talk to the acting president to snatch the airport road from the federal government, from Fashola. So now, this road, what it entails, the MOU, is a fantastic one. Dangote is going to be reconstructing that road. I think he wants to try cement for the construction, and he said concrete. He's going to do it at zero profit to his company. Dangote and Flamings will be putting in 2.5 billion out of the 4.34, while the Nigerian Ports Authority will be injecting about 1.9 billion. And from what Dangote said during the press briefing by its representative, Joseph Makoju, they said basically they will concentrate on the drainage, which has been the major problem. Well, each time they fix the roads, because the place is waterlogged. I mean, there is no proper drainage. That's why most of the roads being constructed in Lagos these days, you see drainage is fixed first. If you don't fix drainage, no matter how,
these ones whatever they are clogged already.
Yeah, whatever you do,
and they are not even wide enough.
That is it. Whatever you do on any road, without drainage, it's just like aesthetics, just like whitewashing.
Wasting your time.
Yeah. So, and another critical factor is that it's actually going to be a 4-kilometer, 2 kilometers each way, 2 lanes. So I think after it's fixed, I think succor and relief will come to the residents and the business, the corporate society in Apapa.
How do we now manage this, the articulated vehicles, these trailers, always, they're always parked at the roadside on the bridge to weaken the bridge most of the time to regulate the activities.
Honestly, I've been asking myself what they would do about those guys, because if you fix that road and they put dead weight on it, after a while it will
Pressure
go bad.
would save, exactly.
The roads, our roads are not designed to carry dead weight like these trucks on them. Those they are designed to drive through.
Yeah.
But for dead weight to remain on the same spot for so long, our roads are not designed for such. That's why these roads fail. And how did we come to this? When the rail system failed, and we began to move heavy goods in trucks, in containers, on our roads. We stopped using we stopped using the rail system to move petroleum products and goods. We started using the roads, and then these big trucks will come on the road, park permanently. Some of them stay on this road waiting to lift fuel for up to 2 weeks.
Yes, you see the queue.
Because,
very long.
Because everyone comes to Lagos to lift fuel. I know that the problem of vandalism is a big problem. So you can't even attempt to pump petroleum products to all the depots that we have because of the activities of vandals. But I can see no solution to this problem unless we stop having every truck from all parts of Nigeria coming to line up in Apapa. Yes, from all parts of Nigeria. Some of them, it takes them 3 days to get to their destination.
Yeah.
That's why people wonder why we should expect petroleum products to be sold at the same price in Lagos as in Sokoto, for example, Maiduguri. Or even Maiduguri. So they must do something about these trucks. They must find somewhere for those trucks to park, so that the pressure on this road will go. because we need to get them off this road. We really need to get them off this road. This road, the port here accounts for 60% of the export and imports of Nigeria. And those items imported are also transported through this Apapa road. So we should have, just as Moji said, we should have done something about this road for so long. But when Dangote offered to do it at that time with 2 million naira or so, they said it was too small, 2 billion. They said the money was insufficient, and that the federal government wanted to redesign the road and all that. So we wasted time, 1 whole year arguing the same needless argument that we got into with Ambode when they wanted to fix the eyesore. That is the Lagos International Airport. We enjoy just speaking English, just arguing blindly, arguing needlessly. And at the end of the day, it is the people who suffer. Many people are packed out of Apapa. Because you can't even get to your homes. You can't access your shops. At all. You are in traffic for 5-6 hours. Our correspondent, our marine correspondent sometimes spends 6 hours in traffic.
Yes.
Yet she must go there every day.
On Apapa, you can do that.
You are killing Nigerians slowly. You are killing Nigerians slowly if they must go through that rain every day just to get to their destination. You talked about houses to let. A lot of those people have abandoned those houses.
They've left it.
They've moved elsewhere. What is the point?
Okay, I have Elder Dari from Kaduna. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful development. Yes, actually, I think this is a wonderful development.
All right.
Corporate organizations partnering with the federal government. I want to agree with my brother Babajide. You see, most of these things in advanced country, I think it is done this way so that it will reduce a whole lot of pressure on the federal government. I mean, that is a wonderful place to start, the Apapa Road. Let them do it to standard. And I just hope, just like Babajide said, some of these things will be freighted by rail so that road can last. Otherwise, in a question of some years, we'll still come back to the same stage. So let railway ferry the one that they can ferry, and let's trailer on this axis so that the road can last even longer. God bless you.
Thank you, Elder Dari from Kaduna. So that in the next 1 year, are we looking at alternative routes? Are we looking at, because they can't afford to shut that place?
There'll still be some of it will be constructed, but then I think what will happen is one of the lanes will be open, while the other one, I think there will be people who they should expect to spend more time.
Yes,
on the
people
road
should expect more pains.
And bear the pains.
I think the minister said that we just must find a solution. He called it final solution. As if there is a solution that is not final.
There can't be shared back without
so he said people should expect the pain.
Okay, final solution.
That pain will come. That pain will come, but at the end of the day, we know that a solution will be found. Probably not.
All right, moving on now. Let's first debate on the social and traditional media about Nigeria's education curriculum. Some Nigerians have written lengthy articles condemning the removal of Christian religious knowledge from schools' curriculum. And recently, some media personalities went on an epic rant, taking Nigeria's education ministry to the cleaners. But the Nigerian Education Research and Development Council position on the subject matter shows that their epic rant was nothing but a shameful demonstration of ignorance. It says Christian religious knowledge, CRK, is still being taught in schools and subject offerings under the religion and national values curriculum, and they are distinctly taught separately on the timetable. So what's this uproar about, gentlemen? Because when it comes to religion, when it comes to, I've just been avoiding that thing on the social media. I saw it and I was like, what's this? Just yesterday, I got at least a better explanation from the Ministry of Education.
You see, I think what we must understand clearly, is that there are, unfortunately so in this country, there are people who appear to be laying by to latch onto every small incident or development to whip up religious
worry of Islamization.
So I think basically I want to, to some extent,
something
the Ministry of Education
have the faintest idea about.
Exactly.
Ignorance.
Just
you see, there's so much ignorance peddling in our land, and the ignorance peddling, the people even at the heart of the ignorance peddling are people who should know their left from their right.
Who are supposedly
media people.
Honestly,
it's such a massive shame.
Honestly, somebody said it today that at last they went to go and drop signatures, 4,000, 400 and something thousand signatures, and INEC that Dino is on his way out, and I had to write, go and check the process of recall.
Again,
they've not even started that process.
As with that development, I wanted to say that, you see, in this issue of curriculum, I would have expected the Ministry of Education to, actually engage in some, widespread sensitization. That, okay, we are tinkering with the curriculum in this and this and this manner. This and this and this are what will subsist, and these and these are what may, be merged and removed and added.
It still doesn't. My two kids who are still in primary school, I know that they teach them civic education, and it's part of it. So even if they didn't go on an enlightenment spree, it still doesn't justify saying things that you cannot prove.
He said the subject is under religious and national values curriculum.
The religion and national values curriculum has the following subjects. We have civic education, social studies, Christian religious knowledge, Islamic religious knowledge, and security education. Those are the subjects under that. And it was ratified in 2012. And it will be during the Jonathan era, and it won't be subject to a review. It won't be subject to a review till 2019. It's a 7-year span. And before they can review these things, they have the PTA association, Christian association, Muslim association, all manner stakeholders that they will decide and do this thing.
You know what even annoys me the most is the attempt to make it look like teaching Arabic language is synonymous with Islamization.
Yeah, exactly.
They are different things.
Because even there are in Israel, for example, there are Israeli Arabs.
Yes.
They are Israeli Arabs. So Arabic as a language is not synonymous with Islam. There are Israeli Arabs who are Christians. Israeli Arabs who are Christians. So this ignorance peddling, honestly, me, I just don't understand.
The courts,
I just don't understand.
The courts
like I said, there are people
in Iraq, the Kurdish in Iraq, most of them are Christians, but they speak Arabic. And you see, I think we should understand some of these things. The constitution.
Tariq Aziz, the former deputy prime minister of Iraq, was a Christian.
Even some people from South Sudan.
Now, the curriculum stipulates that you must teach English and 2 other languages. And the 2 other languages are Arabic and French. Now, I think the Christian Association of Nigeria should do Nigerians a favor by not politicizing a lot of things. And I want to believe that since we start having leaders who use their private jets to ferry money on behalf to go and buy ammunition, then they have been missing religion and business and some other things. Because for an association like that to issue a statement and from just nowhere, it is very sad. And I think they should, whoever issued that statement should apologize to Nigerians. Because there's a difference between language and religion. But the Islam is taught, or rather,
Islam is you are even going, you are bothering yourself going too far
to
talk about those people with private jets, or is it because you've not bought one? Now, the issue is when we teach French, what is the religion of the French people?
No,
Abi?
that is
When we
it.
teach French is taught in Badagry village, there's a Badagry village. So what is the language? What is the religion of the French people? Are we trying, when we teach French in Nigeria, are we trying to Christianize or turn Nigerians to French people? No, I mean, it's just ridiculous. There should be a limit to these things.
Exactly.
There has to be a limit. All this hate mongering, we do not need it.
When it comes to religion, we are too always very, very. We have a color from.
There are a lot of the people that you see want to hit their heads on the wall because of religion. They do not actually do what the Holy Prophets tell them to do. Go to their homes. They can't show mercy. They can't show generosity. So, you know, the fake Christians, fake Muslims litter our country.
And they are the ones in the vanguard of all of these incessant attempts to whip up religious sentiments.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. This is James on the line from Abuja.
Oh, yeah, James, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I'm a teacher.
Okay.
In a private school in Abuja.
All right.
And the issue being discussed now, you will discover that just like one of the guests said, CRK, IRS has been collapsed into religion and national values. And they are being taught on separate periods on the timetable. So the issue of saying that CRK and IRS have been removed from Nigerian educational system, I don't think the person is not being fair to the Ministry of Education.
Ms. Chief, thank you, James. Thank you for that clarification. At least coming from a teacher.
These are the kind of calls that we like.
Thank you. Coming from a teacher, because I really don't see why people should politicize everything and try to get at maybe, I don't know. So, but the bottom line now is that, in spite of all this, there was a time that we were told that history, I don't know, maybe history is back.
No, it's civic education that has just been introduced.
Okay.
Some schools actually teach history. Some call it geohistory. It's neither here nor there. But between civic education and social studies, some history come into play there. So it's all under studies. It's all on and general studies. It all comes under national values, national values and religion. So you have civic education, social studies, Christian religious knowledge, Islamic religious knowledge, and security education. Security education was introduced in 2012, but it has not really gained that much.
What's that for?
Yeah, it's because of all these Boko Haram, all these stuff.
to
that you can be conscious of our environment, but it has not really gained.
A little bit of what MAMSA.
That is it. But it has not really gained traction. So, I think after the 2019 review, I think these are things that people should be even commending the Ministry of Education.
Ministry for.
No minister can unilaterally change the curriculum.
No.
It is not possible. So we should understand some of these things rather than just go. How can somebody think that CRK will just be expunged from the subjects of the curriculum?
That's why I call it ignorance peddling.
It's ignorance.
If people do not understand something, they should seek knowledge. I always tell people who work under me that I'm a knowledge hunter. Even if you're a little boy, I still think I can learn one or two things from you. And I also expect you to have the heart to learn from me, you know, no matter what you think about me. So that attitude is what we should have. So if you are not clear about a certain matter, you just need to ask people. Don't go to here, you know, as the Khan people have done now, to just be condemning something that is really, really meaningless.
That is unfounded.
You know, because at the end of the day, the potatoes will come right back at you, hit you on the face, and you will become a laughing
And that
stock.
association is fast losing credibility.
Yes.
No, we just need to tell. We just need to tell our people that it is not right. We are Christians, and we stand for the truth, because that is what the Bible even preaches, that we should stand on the truth. So if you are out there misleading people in a very negative manner, then you are going against the prescriptions of the Holy Book. And if you continue to do that, salvation may be far away from you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, finally, yes, I think we must, as Nigerians, eschew indecent rumor mongering, rumor peddling, hate speeches, and try to, embrace and uphold those mores, those values that will edify us as a people and as a nation.
Okay, I think maybe it's time we call for legislation against rumor mongering, like it was done in
my governor. My governor did it and offered money. Money that you can't give people as salary.
Yomi Olomofe, thank you so much. Moji Jamiu, and welcome back to Jide.
It's good to be back.
You went to go and spend some days with my people.
Yes, it's good to be back.
All right, and that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join Veronica Dan Ipoyi tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TVC Nigeria. And our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.